Welcome to my channel. Today is going to be a different bake. If you bake a daily bread or a monthly bread or weekly bread, you bake bread just because. Well, today I'm going to try a new bread recipe. Usually when I bake bread, I use yeast and honey, and of course it's usually an Amish bread. And you feed the yeast the honey and you allow it to foam. And of course then, we add all of our leavening ingredients to the flour, and you knead it. And then you allow it to rise for about an hour, and sometimes even overnight. And then we bake it. Today, I'm not going to do that. Today's bake does not require yeast. It does not require honey. It does not require kneading. It does not require the rest on the knead. It does not require a rise. Yeah. That's what I thought as well. But then when I looked at the ingredients, I was like, oh yeah, it's possible. All right. So with today's bake on the bread, I'm going to use white lily flour. And today's bread is not going to be bread flour, and I'm not going to use all-purpose. I'm going to use self-rising flour. It already has all the leavening ingredients incorporated into it. Instead of using butter or milk or sour cream or any of the heavy creams, I'm going to use whole milk, plain. It's plain yogurt, but this one is flavored with vanilla, okay? Because the vanilla here is going to give it that sweet taste. Don't use any of the Greek yogurts, because you will not get the same results using the Greek yogurts. Okay, so it's just a 2-ingredient bread. It is the self-rising flour. My brand is White Lily. And it's going to be just your whole milk, vanilla yogurt, or just plain yogurt. And I use the organic, and this is the probiotic, and this is the one by Stony Field. Okay? These are my go-to products today. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 cups of sifted self-rising cornmeal to my stainless steel bowl. And of course, I just use my mesh strainer here. It's a very, very good sifter. And of course, sifting just gives you the very fine powder, so you don't have to worry about lumps and clumps, right? So I'm just going to sift this, and I just tap the sides of my mesh. Some people call it colander, strainer, whichever one, they're one and the same. And I just sift it into the bowl. So that's 1 cup of flour, self-rising flour. Okay. So now I add my 2nd cup. I'm always game for trying something new. I saw this, and then someone shared this recipe, and I've been looking for a really good bread one that doesn't take so long. I usually let mine rise overnight. And see, the reason I start making bread is because this is the one thing I know in my house that I waste. Like if I buy a loaf of bread, and I love the Nature's Own butter bread, and I like those multi-grain breads. But it's just 2 people here, and usually I throw away more bread than we actually consume. So I decided to just make the breads, any rolls, even buns, if we need a hamburger or hot dog bun, because I end up wasting those as well. So the new goal is just to make everything from scratch, and I don't have to worry about it. You eliminate the throwaway. All right. So if I want to fix something and I don't have buns or rolls, even like sliders, you can use the same mixture and make rolls. And then, of course, in 40-45 minutes, while everything else is cooking, the buns or the bread, the rolls, whatever you're gonna make, it's coming out of the oven as well. All right. So now I have my self-rising flour here. Next, I'm going to add 1 3/4 cup of my plain yogurt. Make sure that it is vanilla flavored. So here's my, and with the yogurt, you can add a little more, that's fine. Because once you incorporate all the ingredients, if it seems like it's a little thick, You can add a little more yogurt, about a tablespoon at a time, because you don't want to overdo it. Or you can add it 1/4 cup at a time, whichever you prefer. Okay. So that's 1 cup. And I have a 1/4 cup around here somewhere. It's really like 3/4 of a whole cup, but if you want to be exact and accurate, you can do 3 1/4 cups. Or if you like me, sometimes you just do 2 cups. It just depends. But this is my first time trying this particular bread recipe with just the 2 ingredients. So I'm going to try to be as exact as I possibly can. I want to give it a chance. But of course, you know what's going to happen once this comes out and I try it. I'll either A, go back to my original bread recipe, or B, I'll figure out a way to tweak this one. Okay? So let me place my yogurt back in the refrigerator. Okay? The next thing you're going to need is just a silicone spatula. Okay? And you want to just simply incorporate the flour and the yogurt. If you would like to place this in your mixer and knead it, I'm sure that it will be just fine. But I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. And I'm going to just sit and fold the flour into the yogurt. And there's no surprise that it's just 2 ingredients, because the self-rising flour, as I said, contains 11 ingredients, and of course the yogurt is whole milk yogurt, so it should come out perfect. Okay. Actually, this is a little better than having to knead, I will say, whether you knead it with your hand or you place it in the blender. And I prefer to do it by hand. Sometimes I get, the blender out and add my kneader to it, and I'll use it. But when I first learned how to do bread, I learned the old-fashioned way, how to knead it. It just seems like it comes out better, and then it's when you incorporate it in your pan, it is a loaf, and it looks really good. So this process was pretty quick. So far, it's pretty quick, pretty easy, and not a whole lot to have to clean up. You don't have to worry about extra flour and having to place it on wax paper or place it on your countertop or on your butcher's block. You do everything in the bowl, and you just knead it with this silicone spatula, basically incorporating and mixing it all together. 2 ingredients. Awesome. All right. So this is what it looks like once it's all incorporated together. Again, I'll turn this light on. Okay, so now that I have it all well mixed, it is ready to go in the oven. You set your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and make sure you preheat the oven. You need to set your oven at 375 probably about 10 to 15 minutes before you're ready to place your bread in the oven, because that way you're going to make sure that the oven temperature is set, the oven is equilibrated. Because anyone who knows that when you cook bread, you need to make sure that the temperature is right. Now, a lot of times they cook their bread at 400, or you'll use a bread maker to make the bread, which I do have a bread maker, but I'm not going to use it. This recipe doesn't call for any of that, which is the reason I wanted to try it, just to see how it will come out. But make sure you set your oven 10 to 15 minutes before you're ready to actually place this bread in the oven. All right, so now I want to get my pan ready. Which no greasing, no oil, no spray, no buttering, no flour, none of that. This is a non-stick pan. This is by Rachel Ray, and she's not a sponsor of my video. However, I do like this baking pan. Then you're going to take a sheet of parchment paper. Now with the parchment paper, you don't have to pull off a lot. You just want enough parchment paper to go across the width of the pan, okay? And this is going to be, no, that's a little too much. Okay. So now, with the wax paper, you're going to take it, you place it in your baking pan, just press it down, and then where the seam of the pan is and the wax paper, you just simply make a crease. Right? So what you're doing is making a handle for the pan and a handle for your bread so that it comes out once it's baked. Of course, you know, you make sure that it sits flush in the bottom of the pan, of course, where you're going to place your bread. Okay? And you just make a crease on the side so that it stays and clings to your pan. And this is parchment paper. All right? So when you put the bread in, the bread cooks, and then you're going to use this to lift the bread out of the pan. All right. I like this recipe. Can you tell? Okay, so now I'm going to take the bread batter and I'm going to add it to the baking pan. I'm just going to simply scoop it in. Nothing special. All right. So once you've gotten everything out of the mixing bowl into your baking pan, as you can see, I just take my silicone spatula and I just work it around the pan and try to get as much of it as you can. Okay, and now I'm going to place it in the baking pan. And I'm just going to take this spatula and I'm going to evenly distribute the bread dough so that it is the same width and length as my pan. I kind of want the loaf to look like a loaf. I don't want it to be one-sided, lopsided, everything in the middle. So before I shape the pan, I'm going to make sure that I kind of push everything to the corners so they have a nice bake on it, a nice loaf of bread. All right, I think that's gonna get it. So then I'll just remove everything from my spatula by rubbing it on the side of the pan. All right, so now I'm just gonna simply shake and bake. Just to make sure that, again, everything is evenly distributed. Tap it, make sure it's sitting flush. All right, so now everything is ready to go in the oven to bake. Now, I'm going to go ahead and place it in the oven and allow it to bake, allow it to rise. As my bread is baking, I'm going to check it. The bake time is 40 to 45 minutes. I know my oven, you know your oven. So you know that you need to check your bread after 30 minutes. You take a kebab stick or a toothpick and you place it in the areas that seems to be moist. Primarily the center part is usually the last of any cake or bread or anything that you're cooking to actually become done. So you can use a toothpick, kebab stick. If it comes out clean, then your bread is ready. Now, about 15 to 20 minutes into the bake, I'm going to take this piece of aluminum foil sheet and I'm going to just simply place it over the top. I'm not going to fold it down, attach it to the pan. I'm just going to lay it across the top because I don't want the top of my bread to bake fast. I don't want it to be hard. I don't want it to overcook and like be dry. I kind of like soft bread. I like the Nature's butter bread, Nature's Own, the butter bread. I like my bread soft. So I'm going to do that, and then when I take it out of the oven, of course, I will take some butter and I will place it over the top. Right? So it's 375 degrees Fahrenheit. My oven is ready. I'm going to place the bread in. I'm placing it on the lower rack. I do have my rack raised above so that the bottom of it does not burn, and I'm going to just allow it to cook. And I need about 30 minutes, and then I will check it and make sure that everything's going according to plan, or I should say according to the recipe. Okay, so I will place you on a brief pause. I will allow it to cook for 30 minutes. I'll check it and I'll bring you back when I check it, and then I'll place it back if it's not ready, because my oven bakes a little fast, and most recipes about 10 to 15 minutes. Like if they say hour and 20 minutes, it only takes an hour and 5 minutes, depending on the bake in my oven. This one says 40 to 45, so about 30, 35 minutes. I'm going to check it. Possibly it's ready, maybe it's not. But I'll pick you back up at that point. Okay, everyone, we're 30 minutes into the bake. So I'm going to remove the bread from the oven, and I'm going to check it. All you need is a kebab stick or a toothpick, and you just poke it in and you check it, and if it comes out clean, then your bread is done. I see a few little crumbs, so I will place it back in for another 5 minutes. And as you can see, the top of the bread is golden brown, and I don't want it to burn, and I don't want it too hard. So I'm going to take this sheet of foil and I'm just going to lay it across the top. And I'll place it back in my oven, and I'll wait another 5 minutes and I'll check it again. It was very light flakes, so 5 more minutes and it should be done. I'll pick you back up there. Okay, everyone, I'm back. Our bread is baked. Now, to my bread, I'm going to add butter. And of course, this is Land O'Lakes unsalted butter. I'm not going to add all of this, of course. I'm just going to take a little off the sides. I'm just going to open it up, and I just take it and run it across the top of my bread. Usually I would melt it and just take the brush and brush it on, but it's still hot. It'll melt. I'll just take a butter knife and I'll cut the end off. And of course, I'll just place that on the top. And as hot as this bread is, it is going to melt this butter very quickly. I'm just making sure that the sides of my bread get buttered as well. All right. And my corners. All right, this is a 2-ingredient bread. It looks really good. I must say I am quite impressed. I won't say surprised, but I am impressed because I know what's in the yogurt and I know what's in the self-rising flour. So it's just cutting out the middleman, as we say. It's just cutting out all the baking powder, baking soda, salt, milk. It's just all incorporated. All right. So now I'm going to take my parchment paper and just simply lift the bread up out of the bread bowl, out of the baking pan. Awesome. Then I'm going to transfer it to my dish, and then I'm just going to move it. I'm gonna let the bread cool, of course. You don't cut anything hot, but if you have to, make sure you take your knife and dip it in water, and it'll slice through it, and it won't crumble. So I've removed it off the sides, for display purposes. Very, very, very pretty. Okay. I'm gonna let it continue to cool, and then I'll remove it from the wax paper, and I'll show you the bottom of the bread. Okay, everyone, the bread is ready. It is cool, and I have plated it. This is my daily bread. Again, this is a 2-ingredient bread. It only requires self-rising flour. I use white lily. It requires, that's 3 cups sifted, and 1 3/4 cup of plain yogurt, or I use the vanilla for flavoring. And I'll lift it up and show you the bottom of it. Beautiful bread. Okay. I'm not ready to test it or taste it, but I guess I could go ahead and cut a slice. I was gonna wait and do something else with it. And again, it may be a little warm on the inside, so I'll just wet the knife with cold water. And I'm just gonna cut a slice off of the end just so you can see what it looks like on the inside. As we say, we cut the back off. Now, anytime you bake something and you feel like you've overcooked it and you want it to be just a little bit soft, or you should have took it out a few minutes earlier, you can just use some butter and it'll keep it real soft. As you can see, this bread is very, very soft and fluffy. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Okay. Just cutting a slice off, and that's what it looks like. Real moist and real fluffy. Okay. Now let me taste it and see. It's really good. Okay. I think this may give Nation's Own butter bread a run for its money. So this is going to be my go-to bread when I need to, I don't buy bread because we're not really bread people, but sometimes you want a sandwich real quick depending on what you got busy throughout the day, or you want to fix some soup and you want bread to go with it. So when that happens, I don't have to run to the store to buy bread. I'll just do the 2-ingredient bread. And then, of course, I do have my original Amish white bread recipe. It's not really my recipe. It was a recipe I took from a homesteading channel, which I'll share with you when I bake that bread, that I really like as well. So thanks for coming along with me on the bread bake, or I should say on the 2-ingredient bread bake. I really appreciate you guys. For those who have subscribed to my channel, thank you, thank you, thank you. I've read a lot of the comments, and I try to respond as timely as I can. I really appreciate all your positive comments that have been left. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Please click the thumbs up if you like my videos, so that they'll get pushed out into the algorithm, so that others will be able to view them. Basically, that's just saying that something in the video was edifying to you. If you like the tips that I give throughout the bakes or the cooks or the preps, that's things that kind of help to push you out into the algorithm, so other people can actually see it. If you click the notification bell, select all, so that as soon as I upload a video, my subscribers will be the first one to see it. Okay. If you have a comment, positive or negative, please leave it in the comments below. Positive, I will respond. Negative, I keep strolling to the next positive. All right. So thanks again, everyone. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on the next bake. Maybe prep, bake, no, cook, prep, who knows? It'll be one of them. See you guys.